Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. I always came in 10 minutes early, not because I wanted to impress anyone, but because it meant I could get to my desk without seeing him. That 10-minute buffer gave me time to make coffee, sit down, open my inbox, and exist as quietly as possible before the day became what it always became, morning champ. He still caught me anyway. Ben, team lead for client strategy, navy blue button-up shirt, always smelled like cologne and power trips, the kind of guy who could insult you with a grin and get a laugh from the whole room while doing it. Today was no different. His voice echoed through the cubicle maze like it was piped through the ceiling. I got your report. Bold choice using Comic Sans for the header. I hadn't. It was Ariel. He tossed the printout on my desk and walked off before I could say anything. People laughed, not hard, just enough to make me want to disappear into the carpet. It was just another Monday. Same gray sky out the window, same burnt coffee in the break room, same flickering light in the east stairwell no one ever replaced. I spent most mornings updating vendor logs and answering emails no one read. It was quiet work, invisible work, the kind you only noticed if it wasn't done. I was good at that kind of work. Ben passed by again around 10 a.m., this time with a fresh coffee and a smile that meant he was in the mood to perform. "You spelled recommendation wrong," he said, tapping the screen of my monitor. "Twice." I minimized the file. "That's not even the same document." He grinned. "Don't worry, I fixed it for you. You're welcome." Then he walked off. The fire alarm didn't sound like it usually did. Around 10:20, a dull tone echoed down the hall. No strobe lights, no robotic voice telling us to evacuate, just a hollow tone, one long, low sound that vibrated through the ceiling tiles. People looked around. No one moved. My manager, Emily, poked her head out of her office and frowned. "I don't have an alert. Probably maintenance again." I almost stood up. That's when someone screamed. It came from the floor below. Just one, high-pitched, sharp, then cut off. Everyone froze. I could hear someone in the break room drop their coffee. The fire alarm stopped. The lights flickered. Then the elevator dinged. We all turned. No one was inside. The doors opened, lingered, and closed again. No one said anything. People shifted awkwardly. Someone cracked a nervous joke about someone having a rough Monday. Then another scream. Closer. I moved without thinking, grabbed my phone, left my desk. No bag, no coat, just instincts. I knew something was wrong before anyone else did. The stairwell door slammed open somewhere out of sight. Heavy footsteps, fast, erratic. Then came the first impact. Crash. It sounded like someone had run headfirst into one of the glass conference room walls. Then another scream. This time, not from pain, from terror. That was enough. I slipped past the printer hallway and ducked into the IT server room, locked the door behind me, killed the lights. My heart was pounding. I crouched in the dark, listening through the thin drywall. I could still hear them. People yelling, running, something slamming over and over again. A low, wet sound, like someone punching meat, and then silence. I don't know how long I stayed there. 10 minutes? 20? The only sound was the low hum of the servers and the occasional whimper of air through the vents. I sat on the floor, phone clutched in my hand. No signal, no Wi-Fi, no bars. Eventually, the screaming stopped. I thought maybe it was over, that maybe someone called 911. Maybe security got it under control. Maybe the alarm was legit and a fight just broke out during the evac. And that's when I heard it, muffled, distant, but clear. Someone yelling, high voice, familiar cadence. Help! Up here! Somebody! It came from 2 floors up, and it was him, Ben. Still alive, I pressed my ear to the door. The hallway outside was dead quiet, not safe, but quiet. I didn't move. I just sat there, staring at the emergency lock light, while his voice echoed down through the vents, screaming, begging. Then, please, Jesus, no, no, no. Silence. Then something heavy dragging across the floor. And again, silence. I stayed in the server room until the lights started to flicker and die completely, until the temperature dropped low enough that I could see my breath. And even then, I didn't move. I just kept hearing his voice in my head and wondering if maybe I was a coward for staying or smart. I didn't leave because I was brave. I left because the temperature dropped so low I couldn't feel my fingers. The server room must have been hardwired into the same backup grid as the cooling system, because by the time the blue LEDs finally died, I could hear the walls creaking. That, and my stomach wouldn't stop growling. Funny the things your body still cares about when the world outside might be over. I cracked the door open maybe an inch. Nothing. No screaming, no moaning, no footsteps. Just the low hum of machines winding down and the occasional pop of distant breakers failing. The office outside looked like a horror movie, frozen mid-frame. Chairs knocked over. A rolling whiteboard shattered against the floor. Blood smeared across the carpet in the direction of the break room, like someone had tried to crawl and didn't make it. No bodies, though, just blood. And silence. I moved slow, careful, took off my shoes so I wouldn't squeak on the vinyl. My socks soaked through immediately. Something had spilled, or leaked, out of the kitchenette. Coffee mixed with something darker. I tried the stairwell first, still blocked. The door looked like it had been kicked inward until it bent at the hinges. Blood soaked through the crack beneath it. Something heavy had been dragged down those stairs. I could smell it. I backed off. Elevators were dark. That left the ventilation maintenance hallway on the north end. I'd only been through there once, during a fire drill. A tight, narrow passageway between the electrical and IT support rooms, barely wide enough for a person. It led to the service elevator and the upper mezzanine. I ducked through the door, flashlight on my phone flickering. That's where I saw her, Karen from payroll. She was just standing there, not moving, staring at the wall like she'd forgotten what she was doing halfway through a task. I almost called out to her, almost ran up to her, but something about the way she was tilted, the way her hands twitched without moving, it stopped me cold. I whispered her name. She didn't react. I whispered again, a little louder. She turned her face. It wasn't blood. It was chewed through, like something had clawed through her mouth and then stopped halfway. She sprinted toward me. No scream, no stumble, just raw speed. I slammed the service door behind me and ran back down the hall, cut hard into the break room, tripped over a chair, hit the ground. She never came through. I waited, flashlight off, breathing hard, listening, but she never came. I didn't hear footsteps, didn't hear anything. When I finally crawled forward and peeked back around the corner, the hallway was empty, like she'd never been there at all. I made it to the maintenance hallway. That's where I found the radio. It was laying on the floor near a toolbox, covered in grime, still blinking green. I picked it up and pressed the side button. Hello? Static. If anyone can hear me, I'm on the 6th floor, near HR. I'm trapped. I think I broke my leg. There's something in the hall. Please. I knew that voice. Ben. He didn't sound cocky anymore. Didn't sound like the guy who used to pretend to forget my name in meetings. He sounded scared, injured, human. There's a fire door, but I can't reach it. Please, anyone. I didn't think. I just answered. I hear you. Silence. Then, who is this? I didn't say. Didn't matter. He was alive. I should have left him. That's what I told myself, even as I dug through the closet in the copy room and pulled out the heavy red fire extinguisher from its wall mount. I'd never swung anything heavier than a bag of groceries, but it felt solid. It felt like a chance. I gripped it tight, made my way to the emergency stairwell, and jammed open the side exit to the 6th floor. The air hit me like a furnace. Something was burning nearby. Carpet, maybe. Plastic. The kind of fire that smells like poison. The HR floor was worse than mine. Chairs overthrown, blood-smeared handprints across the glass. One body, face down, twitching in the corner. A printer still clicking endlessly in the corner, trying to finish a job no one cared about anymore. And then I heard him, groaning. I followed the sound until I found him. Ben. Pinned beneath a support beam, his leg crushed and bent wrong. He was sweating, pale, barely able to lift his head. When he saw me, he laughed. You? He coughed. Of course it's you. I froze. He looked at the extinguisher in my hand. Came to finish me off, huh? I almost turned around, almost walked away, but instead I knelt beside him and started trying to shift the beam. We didn't talk much. I think he was too tired, or maybe too ashamed. I found a rolling desk chair and managed to get him onto it with a lot of effort and a lot of gritted teeth. He winced the entire time, didn't complain, not once. As we made our way down the hall, I heard movement. No screams, no voices, just feet shuffling, dragging. I gripped the extinguisher tighter. Ben looked up at me. "You're a better man than me," he whispered, and then he closed his eyes. We reached the fire escape door. Locked. Needed a manager badge. I rifled through his pockets. Nothing. Then I turned and saw them. 3 of them. Karen and 2 others I didn't recognize. Faces torn. Eyes glowing faint in the emergency light. No sound, just movement. They came fast. I barely had time to react. 3 of them, Karen and 2 more, barreling toward us like animals, not even screaming, just the sound of their feet slapping against tile and the wet rattle in their throats. I didn't think. I swung the fire extinguisher and caught the first one across the jaw. Hard. The metal hit something solid and sharp, and her head twisted too far, neck snapping sideways with a crack that echoed down the corridor. She dropped like her strings had been cut. I turned. The second one lunged, slammed into me. We hit the floor. Its teeth snapped just inches from my neck. I shoved the extinguisher between us and pushed, screaming, until I felt its weight shift, then rolled and brought the tank down on its face again and again until the noise stopped. Blood soaked my hands. My arms were shaking. The third one didn't charge. It stood there, twitching, watching, head tilted, like it couldn't quite see us in the dark. Ben groaned behind me, and that's when the motion sensor kicked on. A ceiling light flicked on with a click. The infected's head snapped forward, straight toward us. I pulled Ben's chair backward down the hall as fast as I could. The wheel was cracked. It kept catching on the floor, jerking to one side. He grunted with every bump, holding his leg like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to consciousness. The infected screamed and ran. I turned and swung again, missed. It tackled me against the wall. Everything went red. It scratched, bit, tried to rip through the shirt. I kicked it off, slammed the extinguisher into its chest, knocked it down the hall. It slammed into a wall and didn't get back up. I collapsed, gasping, dizzy. Every part of me felt like it was vibrating. I looked at Ben. He was still breathing, barely. "I'm gonna get you out," I said. He coughed, tried to laugh. "You're worse at lying than I remember." I tried the badge reader again. Still red. Dead system. I scanned the room, looking for anything. An override panel, a fire switch, a damn window I could break. Then I saw it. A maintenance shaft, half open. A narrow crawl space that led to the fire escape stairs on the opposite wing. I remembered it from that one fire drill. The lead tech had said it was an emergency pass-through. For if everything goes wrong, everything had. I looked at Ben. He was pale, fading. I moved toward him, grabbed the handles of the chair, but he reached up, grabbed my wrist. "Don't." I froze. He looked me in the eye for the first time in years. "Don't be like me." I shook my head. "I'm not. You'll die trying to prove it." Silence. Then he smiled. "I never even remembered your name." He leaned back in the chair. You go, or we both die here. I left. I didn't run. I didn't cry. I just walked, one foot after the other, into the shaft, through the dust, past old wiring and moldy insulation. The hatch at the far end was rusted. I kicked it open and crawled out onto the fire stairs behind the building. Sunlight hit my face for the first time in hours. It didn't feel warm, just hollow. I stood there watching the city burn below me. Smoke curled between buildings. Sirens howled in the distance. A helicopter cut across the skyline, trailing smoke. And somewhere far off, the sound of automatic gunfire echoed and died. I turned back to the glass. I could see through it, just barely. Ben was still there. He saw me, just for a second. His eyes met mine, and then the infected flooded the room behind him. He didn't move, didn't scream, didn't beg. He just looked at me one last time and let go. I don't remember climbing down the stairs. I don't remember walking. I only remember the silence, the way it wrapped around me, thicker than the smoke, the way I hated myself for trying, and hated myself more for leaving. People always told me I was too quiet, that I'd never stand out, that I'd never be remembered. Maybe they were right, but I survived. And I'm still here, even if I wish I wasn't.